Hey, what's up? Sarah here. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about a question that I recently got on my channel. Should I become a financial advisor? So somebody emailed me and said, I recently relocated to a certain city. I find it hard to find a hedge fund position or ones matching my former experience. This person had worked in investment management. Do you have any advice on what I can do to position myself in that niche? Should I become a financial advisor? So this is really funny. I actually, when I was a financial advisor, got into the business for the reason that I was a casualty of Lehman, got laid off, and eventually just ended up becoming a financial advisor because I had great investment management skills and I just couldn't get back into the business. Like I couldn't get back like into buy side equity research analysts. And so I was like, well, I know these people with money, and people were kind of asking me about like, what does my dad do with this 401k? I remember that was the first, like it was just a friend of mine from business school that said that. And that was really how I got into the business. It wasn't what I think the reason that it should have been, which was I am committed to a life of serving other people. Can you stop shaking the table, please? Okay. I want to improve people's overall financial health. I want to make a real difference in people's lives in ways other than just investment management. It was not that reason. And I see a lot of people that are getting into the business for the wrong reason. And I think if you're just looking for a way to apply your investment skills without the component that I attached, like, do I want to really be a high client service oriented person? At that point in my life, I really wasn't. Do I mind getting calls at 11 o'clock at night that the market is crashing and I have to talk people down from the ledge? That wasn't why I got into the business. I got into the business because I loved stocks. I loved stock picking. And I was just like, well, this is a way that I can have manage people's money and do what I love while helping people. But it wasn't the total picture, which was like, I mean, for example, I hate taxes. Every year I hate tax season, right? I was really not that, and I was tax conscious, but I really wasn't an authority on how to tax plan for my clients, and I wasn't, I wasn't like sending them briefings about, recent, like about legislative developments and about tax law. And, I couldn't have cared less about that stuff. I really was not oriented that way. I mean, my clients didn't really care that much about it either. They weren't really looking for planning either. They were looking for people that could just do a good job with their investments. So it was okay. While it lasted, it was okay. But eventually I was just kind of like, I sought something greater because I kind of felt like, and I feel that this is true, that in order to be really successful as a financial advisor, to be a great financial advisor, to do really well, and to really be someone who is remarkable and can you stop shaking the table? Who's remarkable and incredible and that people rave about and refer and just grows their business by word of mouth. I do really think that you absolutely have to be that person that's willing to get out there and talk the client down from the ledge and go to incredible lengths and do incredible things. And there's so many marketing vehicles like that I didn't have when I was a financial advisor available to me for you to be able to do that. So what I'm trying to say is now what I see in the profession is I do see it shifting more from the traditional like stockbroker-ish, I have a great investment idea for you, and more into the facts, like more into the idea of I'm an overall educational resource. I'm the one that you come to for guidance on all matters finance, estate planning, tax related. Of course, they don't make estate plans. They just kind of coordinate it with the financial aspects. I really was not that person, and I don't want to reflect upon my experience too much. I mean, I know I've been doing that a lot in this video. I'm just saying it because a lot of people get into the business for the wrong reason, and I definitely think that I did. So for all of you that are out there thinking the same thing, like, oh, I can just be an investment manager. I mean, understand it's okay if you want to do that, but there's a big part of the job that you're not seeing, which is the service side of it. So like, for example, right now it's April of 2020 and financial advisors are, you know, I mean, they're not even, the question isn't like, oh, like, why did you buy? I mean, you know, I was someone that I love to do equity research and I love to pick stocks and stuff like that. And, you know, I found that clients really didn't care about that. They cared more about like, well, what does this mean for my overall portfolio? They don't care about the analytics and the metrics and the reports and the indicators and like the investment management side of it. And that was what I was spending so much of my time on. Like you really don't have to, they are not interested in communications about that. What I found that they were more interested in was things like, are we going to be in a recession? I mean, very hard to predict, right? I was not an economist, like, you know, and so many people don't want to be economists. Okay. Or it's like people think that they want to make a calls on the economy, but then when there's like money on the line, they could potentially be sued for like making the wrong call. Then they're kind of like, you know, maybe I better read somebody else's research on it. Like that's what a lot of people do. Like if you notice, a lot of people right now are publishing about the economy and what's happening, and it's like all parroted research. It's all just taken from the news and taken from what real economists are saying, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I mean, it's different from managing your own money. That's the other thing people say, like, oh, I'd be a great financial advisor, I do a great job with my own money. Well, I don't know, I think a lot of that is cherry picking and very selective. And I mean, you may be doing great investing on your own, but for some reason, it often ends up that when you're doing it for other people, maybe like, I don't know, maybe it's just the way that it works out sometimes. But I mean, you might find that it's not as great. I think we're always like a little biased to look at our own decisions made on our own investments and kind of forget the ones that didn't work out so well. I think people do that a lot. So, you know, people get into the business that are focused on the investments. They get into the business of it, of being a financial advisor, and then find that they really don't like the marketing, having to market it either. And I do get a lot of that. Like there are a lot of financial advisors that have just grown their business by referrals and word of mouth. Nothing wrong with that. But if you're not somebody that is getting a lot of referrals and word of mouth, then you are going to have to go out there and actively push the business. You're going to have to actively market the business. And there are so many people that just want to be behind a desk, just want to be watching CNBC, just want to be doing the financial plan or the investment management models. And they don't want to go out there and meet with that CPA 25 times. They don't want to go out there. They don't want to write a blog about like working from home tips and tax deductions. They do not want to be that person. So if you're, or they don't want to ask for the business, like they don't want to be in a position where they feel they have to humble themselves by asking somebody like, can I get a meeting with you? Or after you get the meeting, like they don't want to, I mean, you know, sales is to some extent, like there can be a little bit of a pressure involved too. They don't want to be that person to be like, why haven't you decided to move forward with me? Like that, like they don't have the sales skills. So if you're going to be a financial advisor, especially when you're starting out, you're going to need to be able to do that. You're going to need to sell your services. And even if you have a network, like I have seen people try to get into the business because they know a lot of wealthy people or a lot of wealthy families. And it's like, once you go through that list of like 10 people, 10 families that you know, then you're going to need to expand that list. And the other thing is, just because someone's like a family friend or they say like, yeah, I'd love to work with you or if you're a financial advisor, let me tell you, it's a different thing when it comes time to ACAT the money over. When it comes time to sign the agreement, then it's like, oh, well, I have to get my like wife involved and get her to sign off on it. Or like, oh, you know, well, we have this service through work and, you know, the work has this like free financial advisor that comes every Wednesday and this and that. It's like a different story once people talk about actually like talking turkey. So just keep that in mind as well, that you may feel like you have a good network or that you know people, but knowing people is one thing, doing business together is another thing. And like I said, I think a lot of financial advisors are in the position where they eventually have to seek ways to develop their own business instead of just relying on referrals. And if that's not something that you're going to be comfortable with, like marketing, promoting, coming up with a brand, blogging, creating content, or, you know, doing seminars or networking and going out and, you know, having meetings with people, having coffees with people, having lunches with people. If that's not, if you don't want to hustle, then understand this is absolutely a hustler position. And there are a lot of financial advisors out there that are doing great and getting a lot of clients. And I mean, I've seen this over and over again, and it's the people that are willing to get out there and ask for the meeting. So if that's not your personality, do not be a financial advisor. Because when you first start the business, that's what you're going to have to do. And maybe even, you never know, over and over again, once you get into the business, anything can happen. You may be in the position too. It is really like being an entrepreneur, much more so than an analyst. That was kind of what I wish I had known when I got into it, although I'm grateful for the experience I had because it's really prepared me very well for what I do now, which is marketing for financial advisors. And I thought it was a good experience to have. So anyways, let me know if this video was helpful and if you have any suggestions for future content or questions you want me to answer. Thanks for watching.